and those who exercise authority over them call themselves benefactors. But you are not to be like that. Instead, the greatest among you should be like the youngest, and the one who rules like the one who serves. For who is greater, the one who is at the table or the one who serves? Is it not the one who is at the table? But I am among you as one who serves. The head of our reading.
Thank you very much, Father Barnabas. That is one of the parts of the Bible that really challenges me every time I read it. Sometimes tears go down. Because I'm not going to preach. And I would like you to take the time, just ask. And when you ask, you are not asking me, you ask each one of us to put an input in whatever you put forward. So it challenges me because it breaks into two. It gives us mode of operation for the people who are followers of Jesus. It begins by telling us that the leaders of the Gentiles lorded over those they lead. And it comes up in a beautiful one. This is not to happen to you. That is to us. Lording it over any other person is a Gentile, is a paganistic way of living, is an authority, and a way of living authority. It is not Christian. In fact, it isn't human. So as we begin to reflect about this, we are going to reflect about the entire structure of the Diocese of Meru, starting most important person with me. So everything we will discuss, look at it from me, not me this person, but me all of us. So if something bad, we talk about something bad, it's not about Father X, it's about me. How do I contribute to that bad? When we come to something good, it's not about Father X or Bishop or Pastor. It's about how do I play my role so that we have that good in the diocese. So there is a synergistic relationship between me, the institution in which I work, could be parish, be a school, hospital, maybe, and of course, the entire corporate that we would like to call the Diocese of Meru. The Diocese of Meru is as good as I, individual, I am. The Diocese of Meru is as good as the parish which you run, the school which you run. In other words, there is a corporate virtuousness. And that corporate virtuousness is as a consequence of the individual virtues that make up that. So as we begin looking at that, for me this is the basis of the Christian leadership. The one who serves, not lords it over others. And we can lord it over others in very many levels. We can lord it over each other. Could be your leader, priest in a parish or in a school. I can put the load on you that makes you tired every day, and probably that load is not even productive in the school, in that parish in which we are working. We can load it to each other in such a way that we are doing little or less, and we're expecting everyone else to do all other things and feel that we have power. So, as we go through this, I would like us to have this disposition, this mental disposition. So, if we desire a change can't happen in the Diocese of Meru. We are not saying we want to change the Diocese of Meru because it's bad, isn't it? We already failed to see the good things that are happening in the Diocese of Meru. We tend to look at the small, little things that are happening. Look how many dioceses in Kenya meet us here meet. Who knows one? We should be proud of ourselves that we can meet in this way, talk and laugh and eat together. So, as we go through this, let us think of the self in all aspects we discuss, as we influence community, and of course, define what Meru Diocese is. And when we say think of us of the self, it's myself as an individual. If I have to point the finger to someone, let it be towards myself. So we want to make this process a self-corrective process, so that we don't spend our time trying to make other people what we are not. If we are asking other people to be perfect, let them be perfect as I am perfect. If we are asking other people to live well where they were, let us give that example of living well. 2, as we think about this, let us think that and understand or put in our minds that all bad things, just like the good things, are an individual and a collective contributors. All good things happen, they don't happen because of just one person. They happen because of a collective behavior. 2, that the best starting point in making better what we have in focus is me. Was that part of that good or part of that problem? Another way we need to probably put our minds into is that the blame game is best left for those who put little effort in anything. One professor tells, we write professional articles. And when you write a scientific article, you send it to a group of people to review the article. And so our academic advisor tells us, the easiest thing to do is to criticize. You don't need a lot of effort. To criticize, you just need to sit and talk. To write or to do or to build or to innovate an idea requires a lot of effort, requires a lot of time, requires a lot of self-organization, and for most part, people would want to take the easier route of criticizing. So let's take the tougher path because it's most productive. Not just criticize, sit and criticize other people, but sit, plan, think, implement the best of our effort. So, as we continue, let us bear in mind that we can violate other people in many forms. Physically, I don't think anyone needs to go that far, but also psychologically, we can violate other people. The way we speak, we violate other people. Emotionally, we can violate other people. So if I don't like being violated in any way of this, it is only human and Christian to avoid violating other people in any way or another way or in any form of these ways of violating other people. So when we share or we ask or we plan about something, it is not about Father X. It is about this issue. How do we deal with this issue? This issue is breaking down like the parish, the school, the diocese. Of course, each one of us has a mind, has a heart, and when an issue in which I fail comes up and is discussed, it's obvious I can feel myself as being discussed. So the fact that I fail in that issue is humiliating me now. I don't need to be humiliated, or I don't need to humiliate you in public by calling you names. We know we fail, and you know how painful it is when we fail. That's enough punishment. I fail. So that's another way we oppress people, as we saw in the reading. We oppress other people by publicly putting their failures in public. Leaders of the Gentiles load it over the other people. To load over other people is also to tell them of their failures in public. They know. The best we can do is to help them go through that failure and correct it in a way that builds them. So let's use some love, some concern and understanding in building what we want. Finally, there are no perfect people. I am not perfect. If you are and learn to work you around. I've never known myself to be perfect. And because imperfect people build systems, build dioceses, build parishes, consequently, we do not have perfect parishes, we don't have perfect dioceses. If there are, it also means there are perfect people in those areas. So, as much as we plan to become better, we must also not plan to the perfect, which we are not. In other words, it's fair for us to understand each other in our weakness, in our struggles, in our ability to be able to build a better diocese by understanding that the only way we can do that is by combining the efforts of individuals, individual priests, so that we can build better communities, which are parishes, schools, and hospitals, and of course, finally, we can build a beautiful organization called the Diocese of Meru. It's already beautiful, it's already good. We should be able to see that. So what are we going to discuss so that we can be able to see the good and the bad that occurs and the in-between? Things are not just good and bad. There are also things that are in between. They are neither good nor bad. So what are we going to discuss in this context? We are going to discuss the Diocese of Meru, priests, and the culture of Meru. Are there things about you as a man who has grown in the context of being a male that we carry with us into the priesthood, just like other males carry into other aspects of life that affect the way we function as priests? Yeah. And unless we can come to terms with that, we will still continue doing those things the same way. Not necessarily because they are bad, but being aware of them is important. Two, we will look at the Diocese of Meru, use of power and priestly privilege. How do we use our power? Is that exactly what we have read Jesus telling us? How do we use our power in administering the church and the priestly privilege? Then we will look at the Diocese of Meru as a corporate, and as a corporate, how do we build a virtue? Diocese of Meru as an institution that is virtuous. For of course we know virtue, every time we talk about virtue, we speak about it as a fact of an individual. But because institutions are built by individuals, we should be able to transfer the virtue of an individual to that collective entity called the Diocese of Meru. So that virtue that is in you and me can define the Diocese of Meru. So that when people hear about the Diocese of Meru, they can say, yeah, that diocese that's so lovely, that diocese that people love each other, because those virtues are present in individuals and they are translated into the corporate called the Diocese of Meru. If we have time, we will discuss the corporate structure, culture, and its effect on the performance. The way the diocese is organized, just that the way a company like Coca-Cola is organized, the structure of authority forms the way people behave. That is what we are calling culture. It's not necessarily the male culture. It's the same thing, but an organization has a culture. There is an internal culture. So if we spend most of the time, every time, arguing, pointing fingers, or encouraging each other and loving each other, we consequently form a culture. And we tend to live like that, and that culture as a way of defining performance in our parish. And still, if you have time, we can look at a few things about leadership and emotional intelligence. So, let us look at the Diocese of Meru, the organizational, priest and male identity well-being. So our organization is influenced by men. I want to believe we have no woman. And these men have come from a cultural setting. And these men have been taught to think, to behave, and do things in a certain way. And these men understand themselves. They respond, they act, they think, and organize things according to the way we have been formed as men, long before we enter the seminary. And even through the seminary, we still have those cultural elements in our buildings that affect the way we relate to one another. And because that formation or that cultural element is with us all along, we carry it with us into the situations where we work. And that forms the organizational well-being. But also it affects the way we identify ourselves. And of course affects the well-being of each individual of us, and of course the well-being of the priest we live with and work with. That is what you did in the previous session, so I'm not going to do that. We touched on governance, which is power, priestly life, pastoral ministry, resources management, and social welfare. There was some declaration. There is a unity and relationship among priests, yourself, another priest, and the bishop, and the pastoral ministry. That's the content of this, and I'm going to be very brief in each of these so that we can have a discussion. So, I'm sure you know who have culturally who have been having power over time. Let's have a discussion. I'm not a teacher, so we are just discussing. Across all cultures, between male and women, who have been holding power, the men. And because we have culturally known men to hold power, we want that we unconsciously behave in that way. So that, because of that, and because you know we speak like maybe mwanaume. So because I am mwanaume, I have to do things like who? A mwanaume. That has a consequence to what we do and what we preach. Because then we tend to do things that way, we tend to feel that way, that is how we work, that is even how we relate with other people. So let's start by having a discussion between the people next to you. Just mention 2, not 5. If you are to describe yourself, you are introducing ourselves in the first session, mention 5 things. 5 things that you describe yourself with. What are the 5 most important things that you want people to know about you? Let's have a discussion in the people with. What the first 5 things, if they are not mentioned in relation to you, you will feel you have been violated. hear some of the examples of the identifiers that we use, and you want not to be left out when you identify yourself.
One I think is functional man and not a woman. The other one is intelligence or wisdom, another one. Courageous, persons also with integrity, and then the power.
Beautiful. Those are the things that we like to bring out when people identify us.
Yeah, we say that the things that we describe ourselves with include first your names. You identify yourself with the names. And then, in addition to the names, we say also occupations, profession. People want to know what you do. Then, secondly, we say origin, where you come from. Also, in describing yourself, as we put there. And then, we say responsibilities. That one is given. And then we talked about religion and also gender. And the education background, I'm reminded.
Beautiful, beautiful. Another example, let's hear something else from you.
Especially with something that has not been said, you can always, we don't need to repeat Yes, something else?
Yeah, I am a male human person with strength and weaknesses. I feel bad when people criticize me unfairly, but I also feel good when people appreciate when I do something good. And on top of that, I am a Christian who has the special responsibility of showing others how to live our Christian life better. So it's a charity for my identity. Thank you.
Something else, something that has not been mentioned, because it's important in your identity. Yes, right.
I fall, I rise, I make mistake, I have learned, I have been hurt, go lots of trials, but I live and I'm happy.
Those elements of the self-identification, strengths and weakness.
So the ones you put here are the ones who discuss personality when we talk, right? One of them talent, government, and don't against you. And then our host, what is the one? And then here, I'm not there in Chavo. The negative aspect of this. Thank you.
Beautiful. Beautiful. You can see how he has summarized the entire identification process, especially of a male. Then you are noticing something peculiar from what we are saying. Okay, then look at why. Why do we identify ourselves like that, and especially as males? And what does that have? What impact does it have in the way we manage our relations, our institutions, and even ourselves? So what is identity? What are identifiers? When we identify ourselves, we experience that as a sense of psychological well-being. If I begin identifying you with the negatives, your psychological well-being starts to deteriorate. you begin to be very unhealthy. You start fearing to go where other people are. If you have grown to know yourself as a man, but I'm identifying you on the opposite. You're not sure where people are because you begin to feel you don't belong there. If every time I talk about you, I bring you down, then you are afraid to be with other people, you are afraid to come out to share. If I identify you, you're a priest, and I identify you as a priest, you begin to feel good about that reality. The mind begins to register that society upholds you with dignity. So these things speak not just at the outside level. They begin to form a behavior in you and me. They begin to make you behave in a certain way. So that psychological well-being is connected with a feeling of being at home in one's body. So if I call you a woman and you're a man, probably you may go back to the bathroom and look at yourself. You wonder, what is it that is me physically that makes this guy think I'm a woman? Just you feel comfortable in your own body. It's also a sense of knowing where one is going. Once you identify me as this and that, it means as a priest. You identify me as a man. You identify me as intelligent. You identify me as a leader on this and that. It also points a direction which I should be able to move. And that's why even as a parents, when we work with parents, it's always important to help them not keep calling their children funny names. Because it begins to form in this child the direction this child will go. And also there is inner assuredness of anticipated recognition from those who count. So if I identify you as who you really have, if you're working in a parish and you're the parish priest, always identifies you as the priest who is working very hard, talented and all that. You also feel, even if the bishop doesn't know, you also feel those who count. The bishop also understands that the reality that I'm working hard, I'm trying my best. It's also true in the opposite. If you work with the people and they don't identify energy they are putting into what they do, even if no one else knows except you and him in the parish, they psychologically think, well, the way I'm being treated, the way I'm being defined by this other priest, that's exactly the way other people know me. Those who come know me. And slowly can actually form someone to form that type of an identity. So an identity is a dynamic fitting together of all our parts of a person or personality with the realities of the social world, where we have come from, the maleness in us, and all the internal coherence and the meanings related to the world, to the real world. So the real world we are working in is that of the Christian world, that of non-Christian world, with very many complexes going together, and that relates to our personality, and that is what forms our identity. Now there can arise a crisis. A crisis can arise between who we say we are and what is going on in the real world. In fact, most of the people in the world live the world not as it really is, but as we would want it to be. And that provides some comfort, because the real world can be very challenging, and it is. But to be able to be comfortable with the self, it's also to appreciate there is going to be a crisis between what I really am and what the real world is. For example, one of the crises that we have to live with today is the male versus female crisis. So this is another reason, there's another thing to discuss as a group. So today who are taking more responsibilities in society? Is it the males or the females? If you go to school, primary schools that we all are, who are more in the school? The women, the girls.
Look at the women groups. All of the empowering women, the empowering women. Women are microfinances, all are the one focusing on them. They have women groups coming to support them. So what has that done to the male? The male has gone down. And that male is not just a male who is a priest, it's also a male who is a priest. As a male, you experience that crisis. What is happening? You even start wondering, very soon, the priests will be female. And it's not only scary because it's priest, you can't define that, but because very soon the entire world will have leaders as females. I like that, but I don't want them to be females only. I want males and females to be leaders together. Because if we empower females just as culturally men were empowered, then some years later we have to go to the drawing board again to think about the males. So we can have all those crises, male versus female, and they affect us as priests. We have crisis, priestly versus married, vocational versus career, financial conflict, who have more, who have less. We have personality conflicts, those are all crises. And so, the conflict arises, the conflict of our identity. These conflicts are centered on the developing psychological quality of how we are defined over time, how we define ourselves, what qualities we bring and tell ourselves we are. Over time, we continue to have an identity. An identity is not something that happens one day and it's gone. It's a continuous thing. And therefore, during those times of that continuous development of our identity, the potential for personal growth is very high, but equally, the potential for failure is equally high. So we can fail in that process of identity. So let's look at the masculinity that we have been told, especially by Father Day, has described it very well. And all those things that we really deal with. Those come from this definition of masculinity. For example, simply living in church, ukaimba wimbo kanisani, ni maua ina akimeki movement. Because society has made us believe women are free to express their emotionality. But to be a man, why can't you dance? Well, for us men, that's woman. Let's say someone is left with a kid, a male is left with a child at home. Or you have children at school, and the child is crying, the boy is crying, and the boy tells you he has ended. A male likelihood to respond was very familiar. But if it's a girl who is crying, we take nothing else serious and rush her towards it. We would tell her familiar. This is the problem of male handedness that we have been handled with. That is also true of priests, males. You have a priest in the parish, he says he is sick, unamwambia nini? Vumilia. Vumilia mpaka tupate nini? Pesa. Wewe ni mwanaume na pastor wa kwanza before you go for health care. So you see the same translates to the way we relate to each other. So later on, soon you realize the problem, the priest and the heart problem or something more serious. So this is an important process of identity to be able to see that there is an identity that can compromise not only our health, but also the way we organize our lives. So this brings us to what is the difference actually? Why do we behave the way we behave? And when we have these expectations of women different from men, and why do we treat each other this way? The difference is gender and sex. You are who you are as a male because that's the way you are created and all that is sex. But there is something called gender. Still use male and female. And gender is a social construction.
is a society that has constructed. So society has told you wewe umetairiwa. Society has told you mwanaume hawezi kulia. A man is not supposed to show emotions. He's supposed to behave in a way of restricted emotionality. And therefore you don't show affection. That's constructed by society. If you take that, for example, if you cry, would you wake up as a woman? Really, would you change? No. You will still remain a man. So you can see, society has constructed us, and because that's the way we have been restricted, that as a consequence in the way we treat each other. So gender, on the other hand, is a psychological and social term that makes us aware and react in a certain way. How we interact with other people and how we behave in society, in the parish, in our school, is very much influenced by what society has told us we are as men. And it has either a positive or a negative consequence in the process of managing ourselves and managing other people. So, being of a certain gender, male, has to do with the mindset of the human being constructed by the culture of the time. It has actually nothing to do with the sex of being a male or a female. If you did the opposite of what the society has told us, you will still wake up a man. If you cry the whole night, you still wake up a man. If you show your affection to other people, and this has particularly consequence in the way we relate to other people. We are talking a very nice thing, but you don't wear a stony face, because that's the way a man is supposed to. Actually, if you talk to another person and you show emotion of love and affection, you will still wake up and continue being a male. You have not lost anything. But you can see how that constructs us and makes us behave. So, masculinity, wanaume, is culturally and socially produced and constructed. And it has a way of defining us. And this, we pass it on to other people. And it defines the individual, it defines the community, the way we govern, and the way we govern the diocese. So there is no hardwiredness in the masculinity. Because that's the way we have been culturally brought up then. We have behaviors and expectations and roles that we are set and that define us, and we believe they define us. And this behavior of the individual man or woman, we think and we are made to believe they belong to those classes. They are exclusive. That is why as a man, you see the behavior in the church is different. But that has an impact in our spiritual health, our relational health, and our management styles. So health-wise, we would want to be not sick, well kept, respected. I think those came out very well. In our soul, we want to be spiritually healthy, with a good relationship with God and fellow humans. We want to have a good mind with the proper information. We want to relate with the persons and things in an healthy way. We want to have a good self-concept, self-esteem, and relationships that satisfy. Sometimes, as we talk, even between us as priests, we may have relations that are not satisfying. You're living in a parish, you're living in a school, in an hospital, and you feel as if you're living with an enemy. The relationship is not satisfying. It has basis in the way we define ourselves. Now, when we go to health, we go to health sciences shows us that this traditional understanding of the self as an association with self-esteem. So that if you are talking in public, men will feel more important in public than in private. Again, they are associated with ego, feeling big. If you speak something negative about a priest who is a man in public, that is destroying his ego. You feel this man does not respect because of the constructed definition of himself, which we carry into our priestly life, into our Christian life. That also as a way of defining our psychological adjustment. Because this is the way I'm supposed to behave and satisfy society. Even when I become a Christian and a priest, I continue to behave that way. The adjustments that I'm supposed to make, for example, adjustment of accommodating other people, adjustment of managing by consulting fellow parishioners, adjustment of a shared responsibility to not coming. Because I have psychological setup that makes me think because I'm a masculine guy, I can run all affairs by myself. It is also another way of defining hell. When we keep ourselves to those traditional roles, we are likely to experience crisis when things change as they have changed. You are likely to experience more challenge when you are put together with a priest. You are the parish priest in charge of that priest. He is young, energetic, more innovative. You are likely to begin to fight. Because you see those innovations that work as a challenge on who you understand yourself to be, rather than seeing that as a production or productivity in the parish. So it blurs our ability to see the good and good that is meant to be used for the good of the institution. We see it as a challenge. You know, there are people who don't ask a question because you ask a question even in class and the teacher thinks you're actually challenging them. So people think you're asking a question challenging them rather than looking for information. You ask a question and all of a sudden you see someone's face fall. And you're not challenging this person. You are asking for information. You want to know more. What's the problem? Why is this person reading your question badly? It's because they are nervous that this person has put and the things everything is done is to challenge them. So I want to go to another aspect about identity. And by the way, you don't have to write, I can always give the chairman and can send you these notes on the email. I'm sure you have emails. Now, so psychological well-being that is based on this identity of a male as a way of defining our holistic health. And the health here means health, physical health. It also means health in our way we relate with each other in the parish and even outside the parish with other people. It is a way of defining what type of behavior we shall take. We have already said here, and it's true, even social science shows that females are more progressive than males. That's a big challenge for us as males. And so, in order for us to maintain that definition of a male, we now adopt a new way of behaving that keeps us feeling we are still in power. And oftenly, that new adaptation takes a form of risky behaviors. That is why almost every part of the world has more males abusing substances than females. It also defines the sexual behavior of these people, includes priests. Because a male is losing his traditional definition and power, he has other ways of defining power. And so we have males with multiple sexual partners as an act of domination. So every city, every town, you have a girlfriend, or this man has a girlfriend, and the woman and make men. For example, if a woman has 5 boyfriends, what did we call her? What about a man who has 10 women? So you can see the same. The wrong things that I do as a man, society makes me see them as positive. And the wrong things that a woman does is seen in a negative way. It's exactly the same identity problem. And this time a man is identifying himself in a very unhealthy way. Because the man who was not in education, the men, most of the men who are educated, went to all the way to the university. Today you go to the university, you go to the colleges, you go to the church, you go to these groups, most people are women. All the good things that put a man in place are now being taken by women. And now, me as a man and you as a man have maintained that traditional role we thought was what defined a man. And this is how we do it. We also see the same problem in relationship with the power. Power in the church, power in government, power in non-profit organizations. We will see the same behavior. That is why it's likely for a man in parliament to argue to get more money. Because that's the only way he wants to maintain his power. But it's also true in the parish. One man will want to control the entire resources of the parish. And will never let know what goes on with the money in the parish to his assistant or even to the parish council. Why? Because this man has to maintain his cultural understanding of power. He can design the way you eat, you're there 24/7, and this guy is okay eating meat himself with his friends. And that money comes from the Christians or comes from elsewhere. There's a problem. And the problem is not that this man is morally sick. No. He has to maintain a certain way of living that tries to make him psychologically comfortable with the identity that he has. That's why Jesus tells us the leaders of the Gentiles know this of others. This is not to happen with you. In other words, we have to purify the way we identify ourselves so that we can start to see acts of love that actually define a man. I don't know what example I should ask you, but let's say, remember those days when you are growing up and you are looking for some money to do something, so you go and pull your father's goat and sell it. And that in the evening you are seated waiting for your father to come and mother. You hope they don't know that you sold the goat. So you are looking at your mother and your father, chilling the judging, who gets to know what facts and how are they going to react. Now, what is the possible reaction of your father when he notices you sold the only goat that he had at home? He will hang you alive. What of your mother? She will sympathize with you. Now, let's look at it another way. Your father or my father thinks that he is more a man if he hangs me because I sold a goat. He thinks he's more a man in the family. Everyone must know I'm a man here. The mother reacts different. What if the father sits with you and says, son, why did you sell the goat? And you say, I needed some money for this and that. Why did you tell me I had some money on that given? What would that do? You change. Actually, you'll never sell another goat. And you always feel relaxed to go to the farmer and say, Daddy, I need some money to buy some stocks. So the love is an act of a man. As a man, you can act with love and actually do better than acting with anger. These are the things that are associated with the male identity and that cause trouble in our society and in the church. So, because of the gender conflict that it holds men's thought and feelings that are expressed as success, and success for a male is material. That is why I, as a priest, in order for me to appear successful in the society, the way they have told me, I wouldn't mind emptying the account of our school and they pretend nothing has happened, because the society has to see me as successful, to look successful. And the only source of me showing people I'm successful is taking away everything that people have. It's also taking possession. We are in the parish, 3 of us, 4 of us, but there's no time we sit and organize our pastoral work. I tell you what to do. In other words, I treat you like you have no mind. Because that's the way a man is defined. A man says, and everybody does what? Follow. Another way of identifying a man in this gender conflict is power. Yes, we know the problem of power and the competition too. We compete with each other. Even in politics, people compete. But we compete in our own context. Rather than working in order to make a Diocese of Meru that is collectively virtuous, we work in order for me to be the virtuous one only. I'm the only good guy. Competition by destroying others, either reputation-wise, destroying them with their name, or destroying them by not being there to listen to their side of story, or to listen to their ideas and to how they think we should make this institution better. So I cut them off. Competition comes out like that. We also have this male identity problem in restrictive emotionality. And I like to give this example. You are walking to the market or from the market and you meet with a couple. I'm sure you have seen this. First you meet with the man. Hey, how are you? Where are you going? You are going to the market to buy markets. So that's the man you have met with. You walk 10 minutes, 20 minutes down the road and you meet with who? The wife. How are you? Where are you going? I am going to the market to buy markets. Have you ever wondered why could these people walk together and go to buy the mattress? It's a problem with restrictive emotionality. This is true also in our relationships in the parish. We have a restricted emotionality. And especially when it comes between men and men, even you as a priest and me as a priest, that being close enough, we perceive that as a weakness. It's something that is done by who? By women, not for us men. And I can't be close friend to you and still maintain my male identity. Of course, this has problem both in our life as priests. It's even more problematic when we come to marriage. Because and people say, probably that's not our culture. We don't go showing how we love. The husband loves his wife. Well, what is love then? This restricted emotionality causes a lot of conflict with the way we relate and love one another. The same with the restrictive affectionality, behavior, conflict between work and family relations. True in the marriage life is true in priestly life. The reason why it's difficult to manage the parish, the school, the hospital is because I am a male and I come from a family. That family has expectations and I want to fulfill those expectations at the expense of my work. So see that conflict and how to translate to the way we work. So what happens is that there is laws that occur searching for our 4 goals. Those 4 goals we just saw. These ones that define a male. There's a laws that occurs. So, I want to stop there. I'm not sure what the keeper says. The sign. Okay. So, now we just gave an example of the mother and the father after have sold their goat and the way they will react. And we saw that the mother will react with compassion and love and would want to know what went wrong. The father would want to hang me on my 2 legs. Why? Why do we have to react that way? That is true of us as priests. We are males just like that father in the family. The same. If you go to the parish, from here and you go to the parish, you meet the priest, you need to come, drop the car, and the tires are all worn out and something has happened. The likelihood, despite the fact that you and me are priests and Christians, the likelihood you sit with him and ask what happened is very low. The likelihood is that we will start arguing that priest is probably the text to every other priest. You know why this priest didn't come? It's because he had so many travels to make. In fact, he can't go for pastoral. The car is broken. He broke the car. That's the same reaction with the father, the male father. We have to overcome the other person. We have to use anger as a means of resolving our conflict because we have not been taught culturally another way of dealing with the same reaction. So, in the goals of success, power, and competition which we just have seen, women understand anger as expressive. So when a woman is angry, it's expressive. And it's something that happens when there is pressure. So a woman will be angry and it will be expressive. She may not cook, she may cry, she may do something else, and it's not to detriment to other people. But how does a man react? A man, you and me as males, understand anger as an instrument. So when I'm angry, I use that as an instrument, as a tool to establish power and control. I am angry, everybody must be a straight jacket. So, because anger is the only emotion men are encouraged to express by society. Watu wa Japani. Hii ni wanaume, amua hiyo maneno. So that's the only emotion that we are allowed by society to express. Not because anger is bad in itself, no. It's just an emotion like any other. Emotions are neither good or bad. They pick a more value when we act on them. And the only way we act on anger is by establishing power and control. So, anger then is left as the only emotional funeral system in which all men's vulnerability, shameful, and unmanly emotions get channeled. So every time we react with anger, because that's the only thing that society allows us to do. Every time I'm ashamed, the only best way I can react is through anger. We raise a fight, or I close the entire institution for you to sleep outside, or the kitchen is locked to you, you will not get any food. Because in my poverty of the definition of manhood, I am using anger to establish power and control. The opposite can be true, and it's even more beautiful, and it's healthy. It makes you happy, it makes you feel very comfortable with one another. You are hungry, you can sit and wait and address those things later. And separate an issue from a person. The fact that you drop the car into the banana plantation for whatever reason, that doesn't make you any less a human,
being. You're still a human being who requires respect. I don't have to handle that with him. I can talk to you in a lovely way. Look at this event. This is not like you. You do better things than this. This is just an incident, and you can do better than that. That act of love is manly. In fact, it makes you more a man than reacting in anger. So, let's have a little discussion. I'm sure time is almost way. Let's discuss some ways men express themselves in the religious celebration, at home, and also in the meeting. Men only, particularly discuss how men express themselves in men only meeting places. For example, here, how do we express ourselves? And then discuss how do we express ourselves when we are in a men-women meeting place. The friends find out whether there is an dichotomy between the way I behave when they are only men and the way I behave when we are men and women. Let's discuss some of the things, the way sometimes men, we behave when we are in a men meeting only, when we are in a men-women place. Find out whether there is a dichotomy of behaviors. Let's discuss that with the friends next to us. So is there a dichotomy? Let's see. How do men behave when they are men? Like, how are we behaving now?
Even when we are men, to depend still on the resource of who you belong. Let's take where we are. If I depend on you, where near to open one another, we can gather together and you with especially what you will come and then if you are literally Maruke ya mwiko yo mwe ya kita na tai. Mimi kwa
Thank you very much.
Maruke ya mwito ni moja tira nambi. So, when men are together, they tend to break into groups in which they are comfortable with each other. And actually those groups will fall into the class of who is considered successful, powerful, who is competitive enough. So those who are successful will tend to go together. Those who have more power, order. So, but in the actual sense, men don't hide their problems to each other. That's not true when women come in. You don't go telling about other men's problem before women. That should not be true before men. What other way do we, how do we behave among other men? Dominance. When you are late, we dominate, we don't give answers. And if we are late, then are dominated by women. That means give answers. When we are males, there is a tendency of dominance. When they are females, there is a tendency of giving in.
But always comment about something, eh? If you feel like it's the opposite or the other way.
Với nào mà mang gì, ông giờ cái group kia này, ông có ba cái point, ông có cố có cái về là gì à? Ông có chỉ là point, mà về là cho anh làm lại nha. Ông có cái group với, ông có cái gọi là chỉ rồi.
Yes, we don't give in. There's that competition element, and we don't men who to give up.
I believe that in the presence of males, there's a tendency for you sometimes to give in, but in the presence of men and women, you try to dominate.
We tend to dominate when we are males. When women are around, we can give in. The opposite. Okay, so when women are around, a man who give in. Think of ourselves in a Paris Council meeting and we are debating on whether to buy a car this year or next year. And someone says 10 years from now. And it's mixed men and women. What is the likelihood? How do we come out as a male priest? We need that car now. So, not because it now is better than tomorrow, but the reaction as a consequence to the parishioners, as a consequence to the management of the parish. Because after that, the year people start saying, who you are angry, we can't reason with him and all that. But it's important to be aware of that, where it's coming from, and be able to manage it. Something else?
Antoro ba titi na kaya na wala nang tumawag na bali titi ya they don't pay attention to gossips.
But men don't pay attention to gossip. Man, especially those from gathering together for long, there is one drinking on naked. We are not afraid of saying, man, there yes. Because you are gathering with each other for a long time, you know one another.
How to say that men, inmates are free to one another. But when the ages are different,
So you can see even among men, there's a differential behavior. So if we are, let's say we are seated in Karakaburugo, my parish priest when I was a boy, my behavior towards him may be a good boy when he's there. But when I'm seated with Father Peter, who is my intimate and we are together, my behavior has no restrictions. So you can see also age and other factors come in to determine how we behave.
There was something he said, I don't know, I've forgotten. Gossip. Now, but men want gossip. And they are very conscious about gossip, especially if they are if it's something that relates to their success, to their power, their reputation, that gossip is terrible. You put it out there and that man leave you in peace. Because it ruins their power, it ruins their success, and their ability to compete. Listen, if that gossip is about destructive emotionality, did you see that man how he was behaving with a girlfriend? We don't talk about that, about men, because society does not expect them to have an open emotionality. Did you see those kids, how friendly they are? And it's a positive thing, that you can see, because we are made to think we have to behave in a restricted way when it comes to affection towards each other. When you gossip about me being very affectionate to Father Michel, what is the likelihood when people think what is going on? Say it. I'm very affectionate to Father Michel. Then what are people? You start gossiping about that. They are not straight. You can see how it essentially, so gossip is there, especially with touching on the issues that maintains a man in power and in control. Other things probably not. So, I have just 15 minutes on. There is also a relationship between the way we understand ourselves as men who are also priests and the way we handle dreams. Because we have lost that foundation understanding of ourselves, we use new risky behaviors that will make us behave as if we are in power and control. For example, people talk about a man should hold their dreams and not appear out of control, especially because a man is supposed to be in control. But when you get very intoxicated, it's unmanly. But let me ask something. When are the boys initiated into drinking? Or say an expression that initiates a boy into drinking, what do people say? For example, the father is drinking and the son is here. What is he likely to say? You're a man, try this. Yeah. You're a man, this is a manly drink. And if the sister is there, you have the sister of the same age, you are likely not, the father is likely not to give the daughter something drink, but to give the son. Because drinking is an expression of manhood. And the more we can drink, the more I am man. Please of the man. And so, the final part of this is help-seeking behavior in the relationship that we understand ourselves. Think of the dispensary you have in the parish. Who is the nurse there? Is it a man or a woman? If you go out every day, who comes to that dispensary more? Men or women? Men or women? Is it that men don't have health issues or women have more health issues? Now, because being a man does not identify us as people who are weak, we are always strong and in control. Health problems don't show us as strong and powerful. When you are sick, are you strong? No. And even more, not only physical health, some physical health, and even more when it comes to mental and social relational health, men will not seek help.
generally, because it does not show that we are man, we are in control, we have lost control. That's why, as a priest, you get sick and you sleep, well, I'll get well somehow. By the time people come to pick you in the house, it's a critical sickness. What happened? Why could you go to the dispensary? It's right there. It's not that he hates himself. It's this, because that's where we think we fail to seek help. That is even compounded by other factors. If the source of help is a woman, there's double the probability that this man won't seek help at all. You can see the risk in that. But it's also true in other issues. You are running a parish, you want to seek help of counsel, let's say from the bishop, from the advisors of the bishop, or from the fellow priest who is an assistant. You really don't know what to do about this thing. What is the likelihood that you ask early enough to solve the problem? You don't go to ask when the problem is out of hand. You realize the problem is too much, there's nothing you will do, it's now a public reality. That's when you seek help. And this comes all the way, this relationship. But actually asking help early enough is a manly thing to do. It's a recognition that there's no way I can be strong always and not have all the knowledge and not have the access to everything in society. I need counsel, I need help from other people. My brother priest is the greatest source of my help. I need to seek help from him, to sit and have a discussion, to sit and decide how do we run this school, how do we run this hospital, how do we run this bank, how do we run the entire diocese. We create a behavior of seeking help, not only of our physical self, but also of our management self, but also for setting goals for our parish, setting goals for our community. Let me stop there. Thank you.
Thank you, Kabakinoti. I think we all appreciate the fact that he has given us a wonderful presentation. It was provoking. I think it has made us to think more on our mandates, the newness that we can also use in our apostolate. Thank you, Father, and we hope to continue in the afternoon. But at today's juncture now, we break for lunch, but there is an announcement. But before that, Father Mungera had an announcement. Can you please make it at the Father Siders? You can shout from wherever you are. Yes.
Because last AGM,
Yes.
the last AGM, the bishop suggested that when we go to do AGM, I suggest we have this juncture the issues we like do this AGM to go through, so that from now we start reflecting and working on them, so that at the end of the day we have a big AGM.
Okay, I don't know, Father, whether you were in when I read the whole program, but in case for refreshing, we are having this session and the next one provoking. But then after that, the whole day tomorrow, we have.
We always break that.
So, what are you suggesting, Father? Well, let me hear more suggestions and tips. Because I said this is our meeting, and for your information, what we have proposed is that tomorrow we even revisit, it's a meeting, not a workshop. We revisit the Nakuru issues, the Mombasa issues, and then Because we already committed that we sent many things. In case we want to add, well and good, but then we need to concretely come out with the solutions what we want to do. Because it's not so much like talking, but what the way forward. That is what we have said. Let us hear more. Father, please.
I'm thinking from my side, it's just an opinion in relation to what Moit has said and what is taking place. I feel that what is being presented is laying a lot of foundation towards the focus of more of the chairman has said. So it's preparing maybe me personally and maybe other people as a way to think and also to react and to act towards what we want to achieve. So I believe we proceed with what is being presented, then the more is proceed on the same ground.
Actually, that is very simply, we want to be provoked. Because it's not only saying that maybe I don't relate well with Wait, I don't relate well with Father Monen, I don't relate, that's not it. We want also to see it's not only what you don't like, also what you don't do that we were supposed to do, and then we form a general with Father Monen.
I'm saying that as we think about issues of provoking this gathering, I would also want us to focus on our expansion as a diocese. We are expanding in terms of the followers. We are also expanding in terms of parishes, and also we are expanding in terms of personnel. And we are told in organization, if an organization is rapidly expanding, there is a need for the stakeholders to think about the way forward, and the church how they can be able to manage the rapid expansion, because it can either build and it can easily break the organization. So I want the planners of the provocative program to think about what strategies are we laying down to accommodate our diocese, which is rapidly growing, in terms of those aspects I have mentioned. Thank you.
Thank you, Father. Father Lauren, Father Mungera, you wanted to say something? Will be the last. Not the last. That's
I wanted to say something that time. AGM, many of us know how we're supposed to do it, but my concern was the timeline, the time we have here. I think we have 2 days, not like 3 days we've been having. That means tomorrow we'll be having 2 hours in the morning section, 2 hours in the afternoon. Those are 4 hours for our discussions. And or less, more. Yes, and from the previous 2 AGMs, we can say we have enough raw material. What we need to do now is to refine them, to process them, to have a fine product that you go home say, this is what we have achieved. We need to revisit those, and we have enough time. Last year, we had to rush over many issues, and we went, like those who went with the bus, we had like another 8 years in the bus. So this year, please, we should not have another year in the bus when we are going home. We have to do it here, and have the resolution. So this time is not on our side, the time that we are having. The other one was an announcement of them to make that time. concerning our welfare. People are still bringing what they think can be done for us to be comfortable. We are also talking about the Wi-Fi connection that maybe someone asking. Those who want the connection, instead of using their cellular data, they can save their cellular data and they use the Wi-Fi provided by the hotel. That is the wireless internet. And the password is indicated there. That is the number of the password. You can connect it to your smartphone or other gadget that we have. But time, I think we need more time.
Thank you, Father. I think if you listen to the bishop very keenly, he was actually saying what Father said. Not that we don't have the material. We already said so many things. Last year, the other year, we only need to process, to make it our product, so that now we can make it usable. We have a lot of it. It's not really the way Father Silas was saying. We need to process what already we have, so that we can, have something concrete. We can say this is ours. Anyway, we will go that way, and I think immediately after lunch, the organizers and the moderators, we meet and then we see what we need to do. The announcement that I'm making is very simple. There are some of us who are here and they have not paid. And the hotel will be paid. We expect 16,500 per person without counting transport. And if you came by bus, you earn 2,000. And you come and register with Father Benson. Please, those who have not paid, we will not mention names here, you know yourselves. And there are those who have carried also money we are allowed them to carry. Please submit it here during the registration so that we have a smooth flow of things. And remember, we needed this money when we were outside so that we could arrange and plan. But because these things they don't come at the same time, we understand. But please do the registration here and then we are done. Yes, and we met and we agreed that every priest of the Diocese of Meru, whether they come for AGM or not, will be contributing 500 every year per person. So please, if you can see Father Kedeki Simon, Father Kedeki is somewhere there, please give your 500 and I will start with mine right away. I will give it so that at least we prepare. So that on Saturday as we ordain the deacons, we will give them a gift at least from the clergy of men. And let us all, and 500 is not a lot. We always use a lot of money to do a lot of charity. Let us also do and give to our brother who are being on this and any other thing that we talked about. So please, Father Kedeki, come to us individually and demand for that money. Everyone, no exception.